Ever get that feeling like there's this whole world, like right under the surface? All these thoughts and feelings. Well, today we're going deep, really deep. We're going to see how art, how being creative can help you unlock that hidden world. That's right, your unconscious mind.
Oh, I love that.
We're using your sources, by the way,
Great.
to explore the ideas of Carl Jung,
Yo.
the psychiatrist, totally fascinated by this connection.
Absolutely. Jung believed our unconscious minds, they're just packed. A wealth of wisdom, even healing. It's all right there.
So we're going to explore how he used art himself, how these concepts, they've changed, evolved into modern practices that you listening right now can use. And get this, we'll even uncover the secrets of Jung's own, wait for it, Red Book, a visual diary of his journey into his own mind.
That's incredible.
I know, right? Okay, I am so ready to unpack this. Let's get started. One of Jung's big ideas, this concept of active imagination. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. Active imagination, think of it like you're stepping into your mind's personal movie studio. You're consciously going into this dreamlike state. Thoughts, feelings, they transform, become these vivid images, stories, almost like a movie, playing right there in your mind.
So it's more than just, daydreaming.
Oh, way more. It's daydreaming, but with a purpose. You're engaging with your unconscious. It's a conversation with those hidden parts of yourself.
That's amazing.
Dr. Marie-Louise von Franz, a prominent Jungian psychologist, she described it as a way to, quote, converse, end quote, with your inner world.
Wow.
I think that's just fascinating. It's like you're opening a dialogue, but with this wiser, deeper part of yourself.
So how does this work practically? I mean, do you just sit there and wait for images to pop up?
Sometimes, yeah, it can be that simple, but often you use prompts. Focus on a specific emotion or maybe a memory, or even just start with an image, a symbol, something that, intrigues you. And then you let your imagination just take the wheel, see where it goes.
So it's like you're giving your unconscious the freedom to just express itself.
Yeah.
But not in words, in symbols.
Exactly.
And I imagine that could be really helpful for people who maybe they struggle to put their feelings into words.
You're right. Art, it gives us a way to communicate what's going on inside, without those limitations of language. It's a way to give shape, give form to those deep and often very complex emotions, the kind that are just hard to articulate.
Okay, so we've got this concept of active imagination. But Jung didn't just talk about it, he actually lived it, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about his Red Book, this visual diary of his inner world.
This is where things get really, really interesting. Jung, he went through this intense period of self-exploration. He called it a confrontation with the unconscious. And he documented this whole journey in his Red Book, filled it with these symbolic paintings, writings, even dialogues with figures he encountered in his active imagination.
Wait, dialogues with figures.
Yeah.
Like imaginary friends.
Not quite friends. Think more like archetypes, these universal patterns of human experience that, well, they exist in all of us.
Okay.
He even had a recurring inner guide named Philemon.
Philemon, interesting.
I know, it might sound a bit out there, fantastical.
Yeah.
But for Jung, these figures, they were very real. They were representations of his own psyche, offering him guidance, insights.
So the Red Book, it wasn't just like a collection of pretty pictures.
No.
This was a documentation of his personal journey, his healing, his self-discovery, all through art.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jungian analyst Dr. Stephen A. Haller, he points out that Jung used art to externalize his inner conflicts so he could understand them and ultimately to find healing. The Red Book, it's this profound example of how we can all use art to explore our own depths, to make sense of our inner worlds.
It would be amazing to have your own visual and written record of your inner journey, like your own roadmap to understanding yourself.
That would be something.
But I think for some people, this idea of, diving into the unconscious, it might seem a little intimidating.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. It's like you're entering uncharted territory. But the remarkable thing is, Jung, he didn't just theorize about the unconscious. He showed us how to engage with it creatively, to tap into that wisdom, that healing potential it holds.
And it's not just theory, right? There's actual science backing up this idea that art can be therapeutic.
Oh, absolutely. There's more and more research showing that art can help us access and process emotions, the ones that are difficult to put into words, especially after trauma.
Right.
Dr. Sean McNiff, he's a pioneer in art therapy. He really emphasizes this point.
I see.
It's like art gives us this language, a language beyond words, to express those deep, sometimes hidden feelings.
I remember reading about a study, I think it was 2016, found that just 45 minutes of art making significantly reduced stress levels in adults.
It's incredible, right? Art doesn't just help us express, it helps us heal. It creates a safe space to explore those difficult feelings without judgment.
Yeah.
And that's something everyone can benefit from. It doesn't matter your artistic skill or experience.
So now we have this connection between Jung's ideas and modern art therapy. Tell me, how does this all translate into actual practices people can use?
Well, Jung's work, it really laid the groundwork for art therapy as we know it today. It's a well-established field. Therapists use art to help clients explore their unconscious to promote healing.
So what might that actually look like? In practice, I mean.
A lot of different techniques. One that's common is free drawing. You just let your hand move across the page. No preconceived ideas. You're letting the unconscious guide you.
Just let go and see what comes out.
Exactly.
That sounds incredibly freeing, like you're bypassing that inner critic, tapping directly into your intuition. Are there other techniques?
Another popular one is mandala creation. Jung believed these intricate circular designs, they symbolize the self.
Right.
It's a structured form of self-expression. It can be very calming, centering.
Have you ever created a mandala?
Oh yeah, I love it.
I haven't, but I've always been drawn to them. They're so intricate, so beautiful. It's like they're visual representations of how complex, how interconnected our inner world is.
Exactly. And the process of creating them, it can be incredibly meditative. It's like a visual conversation with your unconscious.
I see.
Yeah.
So these techniques, they're like a tangible way to apply Jung's ideas, to bridge the gap between theory and practice.
Mm,
It's not just about understanding the unconscious, it's about actively engaging with it, creating that dialogue through art.
you got it. And the American Art Therapy Association supports this. They highlight how creative self-expression can help process negative emotions, but in a structured way, and that leads to improved mental health.
So fascinating. We've got Jung's theories, his own Red Book journey, the science behind art's healing tower, and now we're seeing how it all translates into modern practices. This deep dive is really opening my eyes to the potential of art to help us understand and heal ourselves.
It is powerful, isn't it? And we're just scratching the surface. Remember, Jung saw creativity in all forms as a pathway to the unconscious.
That's right. So it's not just visual art. It extends to writing, music, dance, all these forms of expression. They can be therapeutic.
Hmm.
So before we move on to those, let's pause here for a moment. Let our listener absorb all this incredible information about Jung and the world of art therapy. And we're back.
Okay, I'm ready for those other creative avenues, like writing, music, dance, all that. How they can tap into, well, our unconscious and how they can actually promote healing. Where should we start?
Let's start with writing.
Okay, writing.
It's powerful, you can process experiences, shape them into a narrative. It's like you're creating a story out of your own life. It can help make sense of things that maybe felt overwhelming, confusing before.
Yeah, sometimes just writing things down helps me untangle my thoughts. Have you ever experienced that?
Absolutely. And there's something about personal storytelling that's really powerful. You can find meaning in those difficult experiences, even reclaim your narrative. It's like you're taking control of how you tell your own story. You're turning those experiences into something tangible, something you can reflect on, learn from. But what about people who aren't like natural storytellers? Are there specific writing techniques that could help them, tap into that deeper unconscious material?
Well, you could try writing about your dreams.
Dreams.
Dreams are full of symbolism, imagery. It's all from the unconscious. Jung, he was fascinated by dreams, believed they could give us these valuable insights into our waking lives.
Right. He kept these meticulous dream journals. He saw them as a direct line to the unconscious.
Exactly. So if you write down your dreams, you can start to decode those messages to understand the language of your own unconscious mind.
So journaling, especially dream journaling, is a good place to start. What other creative outlets can we explore for healing and self-discovery, I mean?
We touched on mandalas earlier, those beautiful circular designs.
Right, mandalas. I'm so intrigued by them. I've always been drawn to them. They're so intricate and beautiful. But I've never actually made one myself. What's the key to using them for self-exploration?
It's pretty simple, actually. You start with a circle right in the center of your page, and then just let your intuition guide you.
There's no right or wrong way.
No. It's all about letting your unconscious express itself through shapes, colors, patterns. And as you're creating, just pay attention to any thoughts or feelings that come up.
It's like you're having a conversation with your unconscious
Exactly.
through the act of creation.
Yes.
And from what I've read, mandalas can be so therapeutic because they help us center ourselves. You find balance, harmony it's like a visual meditation.
Exactly. Now, how about something more active? We've talked about dance, and I can't emphasize enough how powerful it can be for releasing emotions, for connecting with your body. It's like shaking loose those stuck feelings, letting them go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people might be intimidated by, dance therapy. They might think, I'm not a dancer, I can't do that.
hmm
What would you say to them?
I'd say that's a common misconception. Dance therapy, it's not about being a good dancer. It's about using movement to explore your inner world, to express yourself authentically. You don't need fancy footwork, no choreography. The most important thing is to just move your body however it feels good to you.
So it's about giving yourself permission to move freely, joyfully, without judgment, without self-consciousness. You don't need a studio. You don't need a class. Just put on some music you love, and let your body flow with the rhythm. Or even, move in silence, if that feels right.
You're exactly right. It's all about finding what works for you, making it your own. Okay, we've explored journaling, mandalas, and dance. What about something for those who are more visually inclined?
Visual art.
Yes.
Okay. What are some ways we can use art to, tap into our unconscious and promote healing?
Sketching. It's a wonderful way to access those hidden depths. It's like a visual form of journaling. And remember, you don't have to be Picasso to benefit from this. It's not about the masterpiece. It's about letting your hand move freely and seeing what emerges.
It's a form of visual free association. You could start with simple shapes, lines, colors. And you can even try sketching your feelings. Like, what shape would happiness be? What color represents anger?
You got it. You're giving your emotions a visual language.
I like that.
And sometimes seeing those emotions right there on paper, it can help us understand them, process them more effectively.
That makes me think about how children, they often express themselves through drawings, before they have the words for their feelings.
It's right.
It's such a natural, intuitive way to communicate.
It is. And that intuitive capacity for creative expression, it doesn't just disappear when we get older, even if we think, we're not artistic. So I encourage everyone, give sketching a try, even if it's just doodling in the margins of your notebook.
Journaling, mandalas, dance, sketching. It's amazing how many different ways there are for creative self-exploration.
And don't forget about music. We touched on it earlier, but music is so potent for emotional expression, for emotional regulation. There are so many ways to engage with music creatively.
Music is powerful. It can evoke such a wide range of emotions, memories. It's like a direct line to our soul. But I think a lot of people, me included, we often just listen to music passively. How can we engage with it in a more, active way, a more therapeutic way?
Well, active listening is a great place to start. Really pay attention to the music, the melodies, the rhythms, the harmonies. Notice how the music makes you feel. It's like you're bringing mindfulness to the experience of listening.
So be present with the music. Don't just let it, wash over you in the background.
Exactly. And then explore different genres. See what resonates with you. Maybe you're drawn to classical. Maybe you prefer something more upbeat, energetic. There's no right or wrong. It's about finding what speaks to your soul.
What about creating music? Even if we don't, play an instrument, are there ways to tap into that creative energy?
Of course. If you have an instrument, even something simple, a drum, a keyboard, just allow yourself to play. Experiment with sounds. See what comes out. Don't worry about creating a perfect melody or a complex song. Just let go of perfectionism. Embrace the joy of creation.
Play like a child again.
Exactly. And if you don't play an instrument, you can still create music with your voice. Singing, humming, even chanting, it can be incredibly healing. We all have that musicality within us.
It's like we all have this inner orchestra just waiting to be conducted. It's not about being a virtuoso. It's about letting that music flow through us.
You put it perfectly. And the beautiful thing about music is that it can be so personal, so intimate. You can create music for yourself. Just for the pure joy of it, no audience, no external validation needed.
Your own private soundtrack for your inner world.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you're tapping into a powerful source of healing and self-discovery.
You're right. And I think that brings us to an important point. All of these creative practices, writing, mandalas, dance, sketching, music, they're all invitations to connect with ourselves on a deeper level.
This has been incredible. We've discovered how to tap into our creativity through art, writing, movement, music, so many options.
It really is. The key is to find what resonates with you, what sparks your joy, helps you connect with your inner world. Experiment. See what unfolds.
And you said something really important throughout our conversation.
Yeah.
We don't have to be experts. to benefit from these practices.
Exactly. Creativity, it's not just for artists or musicians. It's a human capacity. We all have it. It's a tool for healing, for self-discovery, for personal growth. So embrace your creativity, whatever form it takes. You might be surprised at what you discover.
This has been so insightful, so inspiring. Before we move on to the last part of our deep dive, where we'll explore how these creative practices can help us, navigate the complexities of modern life, let's pause here. Let our listener take all this in, all these incredible ways to tap into the healing power of creativity. Welcome back to our deep dive. So, we've explored Jung's theories, the healing power of art therapy, and, well, we've got this whole toolbox of creative practices now, all to help us tap into those inner worlds.
It's been quite a journey. And now I think we should shift gears a bit. How can these practices help us, navigate this crazy modern life and find maybe a deeper sense of meaning, even purpose?
That's a big one, right? Everyone just seems so overwhelmed, stressed, disconnected. You're bombarded with information, constantly plugged in. It's easy to forget what really matters. I know I feel that way sometimes.
I hear you. And that's exactly where I think creativity comes in. It's like this powerful antidote to all that stress of modern life. When we do something creative, we're tapping into a different part of ourselves. It's more intuitive, more playful, more connected to that inner wisdom, like hitting pause on the whirlwind and reconnecting with something deeper.
So it's not about escaping reality. It's more like engaging with reality, but in a more mindful way, a more meaningful way.
Exactly. And this connects so well with Jung's idea of individuation, becoming a whole integrated self.
Oh, right. Individuation. Remind me, what did Jung actually mean by that?
He was basically saying it's about acknowledging, embracing all parts of who we are, the light and the shadow, the conscious and the unconscious. And he saw creativity as crucial for this. It's how we connect with the unconscious, integrate those hidden parts, and ultimately become who we're truly meant to be.
So it's not just self-expression then. It's like using creativity to actually grow, to transform.
Yes, and I think that's so important now in this world where there's so much pressure to conform, to fit in, follow the rules. We lose sight of our own individuality, in all that noise.
Like we're constantly trying to meet everyone else's expectations instead of listening to our own inner voice.
Exactly. But when we engage in creative activities, we're tapping into something that's uniquely ours. We're not trying to be like anyone else. We're just being ourselves authentically. And in doing that, we start to connect with a deeper sense of, well, who we are and what we're here to do.
It's like creativity helps us remember who we are at our core, beneath all those layers of expectations, all that conditioning.
Yes. And that's such a powerful way to combat that feeling of meaninglessness that so many people feel in modern life.
You're saying creativity can help us find our purpose.
I think it can. Think about those times when you're doing something creative and time just disappears. You're totally absorbed in the moment, totally in the flow.
Oh, I love those moments. It's like everything else fades away and you're just completely immersed.
Right. And in those moments, we often tap into something deeper, something that feels meaningful, purposeful.
So it's not about finding this, grand purpose for our whole life, but finding those smaller moments of purpose in the everyday act of creating.
Beautifully put. And those moments, those little sparks of creative energy, they build up over time, and they can lead us to a greater sense of meaning, of fulfillment in our lives.
This is so inspiring. But I'm also wondering, how do we even cultivate that sense of creativity when we're feeling stuck, when life's just got you overwhelmed? Those are the times I need it most, but it feels the hardest to access.
I think we all face that. The key is creativity. It's a practice. It's not a destination. We need to nurture it, cultivate it, even when we're not feeling particularly inspired. It's like a garden. You need to water it even when it's not blooming.
So just show up, even when you don't feel like it.
Exactly. Make time for those activities, even if it's just a few minutes each day. Don't pressure yourself to create a masterpiece. Just play, experiment, explore, without judgment.
No pressure then. It's about the process, not the performance. And I think it's important to, weave creativity into our everyday lives, even if it's not in some formal way.
Absolutely. Pay attention to beauty around you. Listen to music that moves you. Cook a delicious meal. Have a deep conversation with someone you care about. All of that can be creative. It's about that sense of presence, that intention in everything you do.
Like training ourselves to see the world with creative eyes, finding inspiration in those everyday moments.
I love that. And as we cultivate that spark, we'll start to see it reflected in all areas of our lives.
This whole conversation, it's given me such a new understanding of what creativity can be. It's not just about expressing yourself. It's about healing. It's about growing. It's even about finding meaning, finding purpose. I feel like I have a new perspective, a new way of seeing the world.
I hope our listeners feel that way too. Creativity is truly transformative.
Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive. Any final thoughts you want to leave our listeners with?
What if the key to understanding ourselves isn't just thinking, but creating? What if the answers aren't out there somewhere, but they're inside us, waiting to be expressed? Through art, music, movement, words, whatever it may be. I invite you to explore those possibilities and see where they lead you.
That's a beautiful invitation. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of art and the unconscious. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have.
Until next time, keep creating, keep exploring, and keep listening to that inner voice. It's guiding you toward wholeness.